I wonder, is a gimmick a bad thing if it feels exactly like what I've always wanted? It's no secret that most of my tech use swings towards more casual use. Yeah, I've done my dash of power user tinkering, but these days I just tend to be too lazy or too time poor and just want things to work. My tablet use also comes in waves. It might attract my attention for a few weeks where it gets frequent workouts, then swings back to collecting dust in the corner until the cycle starts anew. The problem is that cycle often gets broken, as that itch can't be scratched right away as, dang it, no battery. So I guess I'll just use my phone instead. Google, clearly doing their best surveillance work, has me covered though, answering my prayers and keeping the cycle from ever being broken. It does help that I'm already a Nest Hub convert, having it live in the kitchen right by the coffee. From there, the upgrade to a Pixel tablet was pretty seamless. True to form though, even that use is pretty casual, with Hub's use really only being used to show off the album of cute animals I have Google Photos automatically add to, music, and the occasional hit or miss assistant request. All this moved easily to the Pixel tablet, with the added benefit of not being glacially slow to navigate, and actually being useful for displaying other things like recipes with the full Chrome browser, which, to be honest, was something I had hoped the Nest Hub would do, which it kinda could, but it was always super tedious. The downside of taking on the Nest Hub interface though, is it tends to be a bit too simple sometimes, often wasting huge amounts of space on the large display, with the YouTube Music app in particular looking awkward and oversized, with no way to give stuff a thumbs up or down. I've honestly had a much better experience just unlocking the device and leaving the full YouTube Music app running, taking advantage of the screen real estate and Google's optimizations. There are also issues when it comes to multi-user support. Firstly, with Assistant, as there is simply no way to voice match multiple people, with only the basics of one person
and Gadget.
And you might have to reduce the hot word sensitivity of surrounding devices while you're at it, as my Google Home in the next room always seem to take precedence. Multi-user issues extend to tablet mode too, where multiple profiles do exist, but it feels like a miss not having separate profiles load up with a fingerprint unlock. That said though, the guest setup did work in my household, but anyone coming from a Nest Hub with multiple users may hit a deal breaker. Assuming you can live with all that though, then comes the tablet itch, the Pixel being ready and waiting. Performance felt great and didn't skip a beat. Running Google's Tensor G2 definitely packs a bit more grunt than other tablets in its class, be it multitasking, scrolling, or even gaming. A refreshing step up from the cheap stuff Samsung packs into its mid-range tablets. The display is a 1600 by 2560 10.95 inch LCD running at 60Hz, has pretty solid viewing angles and looks decent for most applications. It gets bright enough for indoor use, but does feel a touch slower if you're coming from a high refresh rate device. Colours aren't nearly as punchy as an OLED, not that I would want an OLED here anyway, with burn-in concerns around the hub side of things. So no complaints. The Pixel UI skin on that big display has really come a long way from the last time Google released an Android tablet too. You'll still remember the Pixel C back in 2015. That thing launched with Android 6 Marshmallow. Most of the Google apps and UI follow a two-column approach, and generally feels solid and consistent. Other apps obviously can't have that consistency, with some being good and some being downright horrible. I feel like Google's approach of letterboxing, rather than just stretching an unoptimized app, to be the right one, both drawing attention to lazy developers and feeling less awkward. Android being Android, there are often enough options to simply avoid the bad apps. Except when it comes to big social media companies with infinite money that can't seem to put any resources into app development and make it impossible for third parties to make something better. I feel like a web browser is a better option for them most of the time. Something Pixel UI specific that does genuinely annoy me though is the bottom peel section, which still appears to be a black bar on many Google apps. Most annoying in Chrome, where I would expect it to be transparent. This wasn't too bad on smaller screen phones in portrait mode, but when on something this big and in landscape, it just takes up so much screen space. And when paired with all the black space in the header and tab section, it just feels cramped and claustrophobic while browsing. The launcher does deviate a little more from something like the Pixel 7 too, but these are generally for the better. I love the addition of the taskbar, lack of bloat, overall use of space and layout. I was initially disappointed that text highlighting in recents didn't work, but that looks to be fixed in the latest patch. Otherwise, I'm a Pixel UI fan and really love seeing it in tablet form. For a first device, this thing is a pretty solid attempt and an excellent proof of concept. Obviously, there are issues, like the dock not doing anything when not in use, the average display, and maybe some missing features, like the Soli sensors of the Nest Hub. But that's fine, as the bones are solid. What I would really love to see in the future is maybe a Tablet Pro with better specs. Heck, throw in a Dock Pro with better sound and onboard hardware for standalone use too. Until then though, the Pixel tablet is already on its way to becoming my most used tablet. Sure, it spends most of its time in dock mode, but being ready for me to jump into tablet life at a moment's notice really makes this gimmick an absolutely worthy one and keeps the Pixel tablet well loved even while not in direct use.